Brad's gonna make me start crying before I even start. It's not fair. Y'all had Tom Hanks here last week. Sorry. My name's Roddy Story, and I may not be the most recognizable person on the planet like Mr. Hanks, but I am thrilled to be here today and really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak. Some of my favorite people in the world are in this room right now. This is truly an honor. I have wonderful parents, but I wasn't raised by only them. I was also raised by Karen and Robin and Missy and Jenny and Carolyn and Donna and Mary Battle and Sarah Ann and Mimi. Mimi especially deserves a damn Distinguished Service Medal. Lord have mercy on us. When we were in high school, we were the worst. We were really the worst. And because she let us know that, we got a little bit better each time. What I appreciate so much about you moms is that there's none of this BS. They're just boys being boys that the dads always spew out. When we were being awful, the moms let us know that we were being awful. Here's one example of that. Halsey, Ben, and I were sleeping over at Charlie's house, and in that pre-internet age, we thought it would be a good idea to sneak out around midnight with a carton of eggs and lob them at cars speeding down Hillsborough Road. The night was brisk, the moon was bright, and we were 14 and stupid. It wasn't long before we hit a car full of frat boys in their early 20s, and because of the displeasure we had caused them, they chased us with murderous intent. Fortunately, we were with Charlie, a future Army Ranger, and his evasive maneuvers guided us back to his parents' house unscathed. Well, relatively unscathed. In my escape from a muscle-bound young man likely named Chad based on his light pink polo shirt and yellow shorts, I had stepped in a hole while sprinting away. The next morning I could barely walk. So we left it to Ben, future English teacher and writer, to weave our narrative, our excuse. After a brief pause, Ben suddenly stood and declared, "I've got it." Charlie's parents may have heard us leave and may have heard us come back in. They also likely heard some yelling, and now Roddy's injured, so what if we tell him that we played a midnight football game? And we all looked at him and collectively said, "In the dark?" And his response was, "It was full moon. It's perfect." And we all agreed it was the perfect cover. So the next morning at breakfast, Ben told Jim and Sarah Ann about our football game. During the tale, I noticed Jim and Sarah Ann's mouths were turning in different directions. Jim's curled upwards in one corner, clearly aware of our deception, but perhaps delighted at what boyhood mischief we might have made. Sarah Ann's curled downwards in both corners, also clearly aware of the deception, but instead furious that we would act like fools and then lie about it. Because I am a slow learner, that was not the last time Sarah Ann froze me with her stare, but I'm convinced each time I grew up a little. And while many strong male models, while many strong male role models guided me, it has always been women who made me pause, made me reflect, made me evaluate, and made me into the man that I am today. My wife, Crandall, is a dedicated public defender and an even more devoted mother to our two boys, Walker, who is 9, and Lee, who is 6. We met in Chapel Hill, and if she could still love me after my collegiate behavior, she could love anyone and everyone, and she does. The compassion that she shows her clients at the public defender's office astounds me every day. But I wish you could see how she loves our boys. Why do I cry every time you get me to speak here? It is the most inspiring thing that I've witnessed. She is a boy mom to the max. Wrestling with them on the trampoline, playing soccer, art projects, doesn't matter. She does it all. Currently, our boys spend all of their free time watching or playing baseball. They absolutely love it. So Crandall does as well. She spent half of Mother's Day creating walk-up songs and recording player introductions for all of the players on Walker's tournament team. On Saturday, Mother's Day Eve, which my boys called it, Crandall recommended that we go to a Sounds game because she sensed the boys were bummed because both of their baseball games had been rained out. At the Sounds game, she asked if I would teach her how to keep a scorebook so she could start doing that at Walker and Lee's games. Instead of wanting a spa day or a break from the kids, she spent every second of her Mother's Day weekend being a mother. Her love for our boys is impossibly strong, and it makes me love them and her all the more. I'm gonna have to pause for just 1 second. I think I brought some tissues. I didn't. I'm gonna take a nap. This is another thing Crandall always makes fun of me for. I do this at weddings every single time. It's a problem. I'm a graduate of MBA and was fortunate to have the opportunity to teach here from 2015 to 2022. I loved working here. Some of my fondest memories are as a student and as a teacher on this campus. Last year, when I made the decision to leave, it was one of the most difficult decisions of my life. I loved the pace of life on this campus. I loved the interaction in the classroom, the unexpected, but too often I was missing school plays and my own boys' baseball and soccer games so I could coach other people's boys, probably some of your boys. I know for a fact some of your boys. And as much as I miss discussing Citizens United with teenagers, which is something that I actually do miss, now I get to coach both of Walker and Lee's teams, and I get to pick them up at Julia Green every day at 3 o'clock. And while many mentors, my dad, Mr. Joya, Caroline Scholler, B.D. O'Connell, Clay Bailey, helped to instill the notion of family first. Here we go again. No one comes close to my mom. Might go over my time limit. My mom is the most selfless and considerate person I will ever know. She is kind to everyone, but with her family, she is relentlessly so. She was supposed to be out of town right now, and she changed her trip to be here. My boys are at the age when Saturdays are consumed with 2, 3, or even 4 soccer, basketball, or baseball games. She doesn't just come to some, she comes to all of them. Just last week, she went to 6 games, and 3 of them were in the rain. Earlier this week, within an hour of finding out that Lee had a stomach bug, she was at our front door with chicken broth, Gatorade, crackers, and Pedialyte popsicles, which I did not know existed prior to that, but have enjoyed them very much these last couple days. But when I think about the sacrifices my mom has made and continues to make to our family, I'm in awe. She put her entire career on hold for me, my sister, and my dad, and in a sense, turned us into her career. And I know that everyone in this room has made similar sacrifices. Pausing a career, waiting in the pickup line at school, chauffeuring your kids from guitar lessons to soccer practice, giving birth. You loved your sons immensely, and because of it, you round us out and give us a much needed perspective on life. In the last year, I've joined a group who is working on a few different projects. One of which was an idea to open a restaurant on Charlotte Pike called Streetcar Taps and Garden. Shameless plug, we are now open at 11 o'clock every day for lunch. The two guys who run the restaurant are also MBA grads, Carter Ha and Henry Beveridge. And man, did they talk about their mamas. They talk about their dads and siblings too, but Henry talks about his mom like she is Mother Teresa. And from what I've heard from those who have received care from her pediatric practice, I think she might even be better. Me, the first person to talk crap on Mother Teresa. Carter recently published the Holland Hill Cookbook, The Recipes and Legacy of Phyla Ha, in honor of his grandmother. Phyla hosted the first televised cooking show in the South in the 1950s. She catered the United Nations at the Parthenon in 1976 and was the pastry chef at the wedding of Prince Charles and Princess Diana. But most important to me is that she inspired Carter to follow her footsteps and become a chef. All of the boys who walk down these halls are shaped by hundreds of mentors and friends. But the women in this room are always the ones who give them their start and the ones who supply all the finishing touches. Thank you for the love, perspective, and discipline that you give your sons. Otherwise, we'd all still be throwing eggs. Thank you very much.